All right, I'm John Ricken. I'll call this meeting to order, 10 o'clock. I want to ask everybody to please mute your microphones and only turn them on when you speak. And please keep your camera on at all times so we can verify the quorum throughout the meeting. And please announce your name whenever speaking. Names can be recorded so we know who's speaking on the audio. And I'll turn it over to Angelica for roll call.
Yes, sir. Robert McElroy.
Present.
Ronald Menard.
Here.
Michael Olson. Christopher Beck.
Christopher Beck's here.
Kathy Ann Riley.
Present.
Stacy Brewer.
Present.
Kyle Hurley.
Here.
April Plurice.
Present.
And presiding officer John Rickard.
Present. Thank you. Ron, I'm going to ask you to keep your computer muted since you're using your phone for voice. Otherwise, we get an echo. So, thank you. All right, so we have a couple of new members I'd like to introduce. And Robert or Bart, you tell us which name you go by. And McElroy, if you just say a few words about yourself.
Can do. Thank you so much. Yes, I go by Bart, even though my first name's Robert. Thank you very much. Bart McElroy. I'm a professor of real estate at Collin College in Frisco. My background is in commercial real estate brokerage and property management. So I've come into contact with the RAS profession before, back in my working days, so to speak. But it's a real pleasure to be on the board. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Great. Thanks very much. And Christopher Beck, could you please say a few words about yourself? Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Rickard. Christopher Beck did 18 years in the Army, just retired recently. My background's architecture. I got a bachelor's and master's from Texas Tech University, working on my license as an architect, and last year got my license as an RAS and started my company.
Great. Thanks very much. And Stacey Brewer's been a member for some time, but we didn't have a meeting after she became a member, and we forgot to introduce her last time. So could you welcome to you too, and could you please say a few words about yourself?
Thank you. I am a registered accessibility specialist. This is my 26th year in the industry. I worked for 6 years at TDLR, and then for my business afterwards, I'm a licensed interior designer, and that's about it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks very much. Welcome to all of you. So next item on the agenda is C, and open government training, and I'll call on Assistant General Counsel Robert Reyes.
Thank you, Chair. Robert Reyes, Assistant General Counsel, will be providing the group the open government training. Let me share my screen with you all. All right. So today we will be reviewing 3 items: the Open Meetings Act, the Administrative Procedure Act, and the Public Information Act. Just to remind everybody, you can also find more detailed information regarding these 3 acts in your meeting packet. First, the Open Meetings Act. There are 3 important pillars of the act. Meetings must occur by the bodies and must be open to the public with notice given of the time, place, and subject matter of the hearing. A quorum is a majority of a governmental body. This board has 9 members, therefore a quorum is 5. Deliberation is a verbal or written exchange among the members present during the meeting. And meetings can occur at any time and any place, including online and in social media. Here we come upon the concept of notice. If an item is not properly noticed in the agenda, no discussion of or action on that item may occur during the meeting. Our agenda is going to be, specific as to what we're going to speak about, and we have to limit our discussion to what is on the agenda for the specific meeting. Board members will undoubtedly see each other at industry-related functions. However, you should not engage, even informally, in discussions concerning board business. However, you are always free to discuss matters of the industry, but not have discussions concerning board business. Key points to recall concerning meetings. We will now review the concept of the walking quorum. This is how a walking quorum occurs when fewer than a quorum of members engage in discussion about official business and then communicate those discussions to other members. So that's why the concept of not discussing board business in an informal situation is very important. The walking quorum, and this is an example of such, 5-member advisory board, 2 members exchange phone calls, but then another member, which makes 3 a quorum, is brought into the exchange, and now they've engaged in a walking quorum. Several different ways of how a walking quorum can occur. Additionally, everything sent to you by department staff by email, if received, should be kept private with no external discussion between members. Work group discussions should remain within the work group to avoid a walking quorum. Additional note, the last point there discusses social media as X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, instant messaging. That is also a way members can engage in a walking quorum unintentionally. So please be aware that any type of communication can result in a walking quorum. Best practices to avoid a walking quorum. Point 2 is especially important in this day and age of direct messaging. So please be careful and do not speak about board business outside of a meeting. Guidelines for open sessions. The main idea here is to limit discussions to what is identified on the agenda. Best practices. There are consequences for violating the Open Meetings Act, both civil and criminal penalties. Of course, any interested person, including the media, may petition the courts to stop actions taken in violation of the Open Meetings Act. Any action taken in violation of the act is voidable. Criminal penalties expose the violator to a fine and/or jail time. And a summary of the main takeaways for the Open Meetings Act. Avoid communications that involve a quorum and confine discussions to items specifically posted on the agenda. Open Meetings Act resources. These links are available to you in your meeting packet. The Administrative Procedure Act is next. The 2 stated purposes of the Administrative Procedure Act: establish minimum standards of uniform practice and procedure, and provide for public participation and transparency during the rulemaking process. The definition of a rule and what a rule is, and to help establish some parameters what a rule is not. We have 5 sources for rulemaking. An individual must fit into one of the 4 categories listed here to be an interested person and be able to submit a proper rule petition. The rulemaking process, here we have 12 steps identified. During the rulemaking process, there are 2 advisory board meetings, or during the common rulemaking process, 2 advisory board meetings. That is the opportunity for the board to review the proposed rules, and then that's an initial board meeting. After we file the proposed rules in the Texas Register and allow for public comments, we then bring those comments and any possible revised rules or any other ideas for the rules to a second advisory board meeting where we get the input of the advisory board. And then as the discussion and process determines, file the proposed rules for the commission, and then move on with adoption and the effective date of the rules. This is a diagram of the 6 steps of a rule review process. Every 4 years, we are required to review the rules for adoption or readoption. If there is a statutory requirement to have rules, we need to decide if the program rules are necessary. The rules continue to be necessary if the program exists or the legislature states rules need to exist. Rulemaking resources and links. These are again found in your meeting packet. The last act we'll review is the Public Information Act. The second point here is very important. Pursuant to the general presumption of granting requests for information, communications through your personal phone regarding advisory board business may expose all the content on your phone to disclosure. So again, this is very important to you all as private persons. And again, another reason why you should not deliberate or discuss business of the board outside of meetings. Requests for public information must be submitted in writing. And we are required by law to offer a very prompt response of no later than 10 business days after receiving the request. To meet that quick 10-day turnaround, we need your immediate response to any questions we have of you in regards to an open records request. The presumption of openness is important here. We begin the analysis with the idea that all information is available for disclosure. Of course, certain information is required to be redacted from open records by law. There are examples listed here. If you receive anything that looks like it resembles a request for records, please forward it to the advisory board team as soon as you receive it. Time is of the essence here. So even if you're not sure, go ahead and forward it to the advisory board team of Angelica, for example, who will then forward it to the Office of General Counsel. Better to be safe than sorry, because as you just heard, that 10-day deadline applies to all requests. Additional resources in the Public Information Act are also found in your materials. And this concludes the presentation. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great. Not hearing any questions. Thanks very much for that. And we'll move on to agenda item D, approval of the minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve for the meeting of June 7th, 2023, and November 4th, 2025. And I am open for a motion.
Before we get to motion, this is Ron Menard. I have one question. Why were the June 7th, 2023 minutes not approved the first go around? What was the issue involved?
Yes, Mr. Murder, this is Angelica Lopez Sparks. At the last meeting, we didn't have enough votes. We had a few members who abstained from voting since they weren't present at the meeting. So this go around, I sent them the links to the last two meetings along with the minutes so that they could have them reviewed and vote this time. So we didn't have enough votes. That's why they're on this agenda.
Thank you.
I'll remind everybody to please state your name before you speak, so we have that on the record too, please.
Mr. Chairman, this is Bart McElroy. I move that the minutes of June 7th, 2023 and November 4th, 2025 be approved.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Second
Kathy
by
Riley.
Kathleen Riley. Thank you very much. Any discussion? Any corrections to be made? Hearing none. Those in favor of the motion, please signify. Well, I guess we're going to do a roll call for this.
Yes, sir, please.
Angelica will do a roll call.
Yes. Robert McElroy,
Aye.
Ronald Menard,
Aye.
Christopher Beck,
Aye.
Kathy Ann Riley,
Aye.
Stacy Brewer,
Aye.
Kyle Hurley,
Aye.
April Paris,
Aye.
and Presiding Officer John Rickert.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item E, public comment, and public comment requests must be submitted prior to the deadline, and we did not receive any requests to give public comments during this meeting. So we'll move on to item F. I'm behind my brain. The first staff report is licensing division, so I'll turn the floor over to Jennifer Cortez.
Good morning, board members. My name is Jennifer Cortez. I'm the licensing team lead for elimination and architectural barriers, and I will be giving you the staff report this morning. As you can see, we can have our new licenses issued for fiscal year 2025. We've had a total of 40. And for fiscal year 2026, this is through starting from December 25 through fiscal year 26, we had 19. At this time, we do not have online available for new licenses. For renewal licenses issued of fiscal year 2025, we had a total of 506. And with fiscal year of 2026, we've had a total of 174 licenses issued. That was renewals. Our renewal online, which went into effect on February 2nd of 2025, for fiscal year, we've had a little over 37%. And from December of 2025 through fiscal year of 2026, a little over 55%. Our total population for fiscal year 2025 was 594 licenses issued. And for fiscal year from December of 2025 through fiscal year of 2026, a total of 600. For our current projects, we continue to remind our specialists that they can complete their renewals online. And if they haven't completed the continuing education hours, that they can continue to, there's a box that they can they can answer no. And once they have completed those CE hours, they can just go ahead and send us an email through customer service web form, which is located on our website. Do you have any questions?
Okay, hearing no questions. Thanks very much for the report.
You're welcome.
And we'll move on to Education Examination Division. Mr. Strawn, Director Fort Strawn.
Good morning, Chairman and members. My name is Ford Strawn. I'm the new Director for Education Examination Division as of December of 2025. So what I have here today is a very brief report. My division doesn't have a huge interaction with your industry, but we do have our third-party vendor, which is offering the examinations for all RASs. You'll see what we have right now is a pretty consistent pass rate from year to year. I will remind everybody that all of our examinations are developed in our exam review committees amongst psychometricians, licensed individuals in these industries as well. And we constantly update those items to make sure that our pass rates and the questions that are there are reflective of what a minimally competent examinee looks like. We had 85 total for all of FY25, and of this year so far, we have 30 total examinations with an average of 60% pass rate between both quarters at this point in time. I always want to point out, though, due to low volume examinations, statistically, some of the pass rates can be a little irrelevant. You'll see August of 2025, 10%. There's one person that passed, and then multiple failures, and some of those failures can be the same individual over and over again. But then you'll see months surrounding that, 70 to and upwards of 70% in contrast to that. So always want to call that into attention. And with that said, that concludes my report, and I'll open to any questions you may have.
Okay, not hearing any questions. I'll have to remember not to take the exam during August. Thank you very much. Next division here to hear from is Customer Service Division, Myra Rodriguez.
Good morning, board members and TDLR staff. My name is Myra Rodriguez, and I am going to go over the report with you for the architectural barriers, customer service contacts for fiscal year 2026. As of the last updated month, we have January, a total of 400 contacts for the month for customer service. And it looks to be, around the same. Do you have the 2025, Angelica? Okay, there we go. So, it is a little bit higher than the fiscal year 2025 for the month of January. But overall, it's pretty consistent as far as like phone calls to our division here in customer service. And I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Okay, hearing no questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Enforcement Division, Stuart Bagish.
Oops. Good morning. I'm Stuart Bagish. I'm a prosecutor in the Enforcement Division, Building and Mechanical Programs. You have the staff report, which details the latest figures for the EAB program, which include opening more cases in fiscal year 2026 than in fiscal year 2025, closing a little fewer of them, and taking slightly less time to close them than in fiscal year 2025. At the bottom of page 1, it shows that the number of consumer complaints, 25, received in fiscal year 2026 was almost double the number of consumer complaints received in fiscal year 2025, which was 13. Following the pie chart on top of page 2, it shows that the number of EAB cases enforcement has opened has increased, while the number of EAB complaints enforcement has closed has decreased, which simply indicates that we are reviewing the cases more closely. In fiscal year 2025, in EAB, we had 12 agreed orders and 1 default order, while in fiscal year 2026, we had no agreed orders and 2 default orders. In fiscal year 2026, EAB assessed $18,500 in penalties, compared with $4,000 in penalties assessed for fiscal year 2025. In fiscal year 2025, penalties collected totaled $20,500, which may include cases from previous years, while in fiscal year 2026, penalties collected were $0, which may also include cases from previous years. The difference is the agreed orders in each respective year. There were 12 in fiscal year 2025 versus 0 in fiscal year 2026 so far. Page 3 of the staff report for enforcement outlines the numbers for violations at opening and disciplinary action category breakdowns for EAB as well. Both for fiscal year 2025 and fiscal year 2026, there's been a similar rate of owners failing to have their project inspected for Texas accessibility standards compliance. There were 44 in fiscal year 2025, 3 in fiscal year 2026, which indicates this is a fairly constant problem year over year. Disciplinary action has dropped from 12 in fiscal year 2025 to 2 in fiscal year 2026 for such TAS noncompliance, which again reflects that the cases are receiving closer examination by the prosecutors. Page 4 of the enforcement staff report has the case highlights, Bray Spar and the Lighthouse property case, which you can read at your convenience. Both cases are default orders for lack of TAS inspection. If you have any questions, I'm available to answer them at this time.
Stuart, I have one question. Is some of the difference here because fiscal year 2025 was for 12 months, whereas 2026 we're less than halfway into the year?
Well, it covers the same period. So to my understanding, the answer to that is no, it's not.
Okay.
A lot of what we're seeing in the differences here are that some of the cases that were closed, though it reflects as a 2025 closure or a 2026 closure, in 2025, those may be cases from 2023 when we opened them. The case numbers are based on the year that the complaint came in, and it sometimes is a longer period that we've had the case. We may have had the case for more than a year. They close it at varying rates, and as soon as we can work them completely and deal with them appropriately, they will be closed. But sometimes that fluctuates from year to year.
Okay, thanks.
This is April Pulreese. I have a quick question. In the difference of the fiscal years, was there any change in the laws that the reviews are based on?
That's something I'm going to have to get back to you on, and that's really something that the general counsel may want to help answer that question. There have been some changes. I don't recall specifically. I've been in these programs since September 1st, so I'm new to the building and mechanical programs. The prosecutor who used to handle them was Cynthia Marble, and she's no longer with us.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to, thank you very much, Stuart. We'll
Thank
head
you.
on to Compliance Division and our very own Marcia Godot.
Good morning, everyone. Marcia Godot, Program Supervisor for the Compliance Division EAB program. We just a couple of updates. So personnel wise, we are still down one individual. We've done interviews and hope that we can fill those positions in the next, or that singular position in the next couple of weeks, which will help with some of our backlog that we are experiencing. We continue to track projects and registrations, which you'll see a small decrease in the number of projects registered every month from an average of 2,000 to 1,800. We feel that is based off of the new registration requirements and hopefully preventing either duplicates or folks are researching correct owner information that's being provided. We also have been processing our variances as well, seeing an increase in those variance requests for this year. Our current projects have to do with addressing questions on the latest registration paperwork, including developing procedural flowcharts, frequently asked questions, help sheets, editing other frequently asked question help sheets, and editing our forms so that they are more clear and concise on what we are asking for. We are continuing to try to update the texted accessibility standards and hopes that that will happen in the next couple of months, several months. And then our outreach has expanded. We continue to teach the Academy virtually and in person through Building Professional Institute, as well as Accessibility Professional Associations. We also do additional trainings, such as the one for the annual APA conference that we did on demystifying the TDLR paperwork. And as well as a 1-hour virtual course for the Building Owners and Managers Association, or BOMA. If you have any questions, I'm free and available.
Okay, not hearing any questions. Thanks very much, Marcia. And the next item on the agenda is the agency update. Now calling the Deputy Executive Director, Steve Bruno, for that.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and board members. Thank you. Steve Bruno, Deputy Executive Director for Licensing and Regulatory Services. It's great to be with you this morning. I wanted to begin by picking up where Marcia left off. We enjoyed our time at the APA conference and getting to meet everybody and have some discussions. I think we're really making some great headway in a two-way relationship and a open and free communication with a few changes we've got going on. Let me talk about one big change that's affecting our agency overall over the next few years, and that's our TDLR core licensing system. We are modernizing our system. It's about a 3-year project, and it is great, and I encourage everyone to renew online. After this project is done, you will be able to both apply new licenses online and renew online as well. So it's one thing we're looking forward to across programs. It will offer enhanced security and an overall better user experience, both for you, our customers, and for our internal users as well. I do want to point out we've added an important notice on our website regarding ownership history. That is a notice that we will have up there for a while. And as I shared with everyone at the APA conference, we're developing a video. We understand that many times when RASs are trying to do your work, that it could be difficult sometimes to find owner information. So we've got the notice on the website, and then we will be creating the video that's specifically for you to use for owners, to tell owners why it is so important to get accurate information. And that summarizes the updates I wanted to share with you today. And as usual, I'm happy to answer any questions or comments. And welcome, I forgot to begin with this. Welcome to our new members. Thank you very much for serving.
Thank you for the report. I'm not seeing any hands raising for questions, so we'll move on now to the Procedures Work Group report. Kathy and Riley, the Procedures Work Group, I guess, met, and you have a report for that?
Real quick, Mr. Ricard, Assistant General Counsel Robert Reyes has a quick statement to make.
Please.
Thank you, sir. In response to Ms. Pulrese's question, we have rulemaking as well as and that works in conjunction or independently with what the legislature does in terms of amendments to the statute. So hopefully this explains the situation and satisfies your question. When there is a rule change, enforcement is part of the process, and everyone understands when the new rules are adopted, when they are adopted. So if there was for example, a change in a rule between the time that that a violation was alleged to have occurred and the time that it was prosecuted, enforcement is to look at these rules and laws as they were at the time the violation was alleged to have been committed. So there can be changes in rules and laws, and changes in laws that necessitate a change in the rules. And that can happen between the time that a complaint is initiated and filed and the time that the complaint is resolved according to the enforcement division's complaint resolution process. So enforcement and the prosecuting attorneys are tasked with understanding what the situation was at the time the violation was alleged to have been committed, and determine the prosecutorial route at that time with that set of rules at the time, again, the violation was alleged to have been committed. I hope that answers your question.
Well, I appreciate the answer. Maybe you did not understand my question. I was referring to the difference in numbers from fiscal year 25 to fiscal year 26. And so I didn't know if there's a rule change from 25 to 26 that would affect the change in numbers.
It's I looked through the rules, and I don't think we've had a substantive rule change that would affect the numbers like that. But again, numbers are usually affected by the amount of complaints that are received, as well as when enforcement is able to review the complaint in the program. So, things can change like that, but short answer is no.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thanks for that clarification.
Yes, sir.
So, Ms. Riley, if you want to make a report on the procedures work group, that'd be great.
Good morning, all. The work group report. The Rules, Compliance and Standards work group has met on several occasions recently to discuss issues regarding project registration and closure rejections during public comment of our last advisory on December 17th. Our attendees were myself, Kyle Hurley, Rob Roy Pannell, and from internal we had Marsha and Robert Reyes. On December the 17th, we discussed the ideas developing regarding communication and clarifications for the LLO situation, where the RAS is getting their information, new ideas, visuals to communicate process, getting paperwork all together before registration. On February 3rd, it was myself, Kyle Hurley, and from internal, we had Marsha Godot and Robert Reyes. And we did a lot on that day. The work group reviewed drafts for the decision trees for each step of the projects and drafts for existing forms, the OAD, the request for inspection, the POI, and the LLO. Edits based on received suggestions and found inaccuracies. A new LLO, frequently asked question draft, was also reviewed, and a new help sheet regarding the checklist for closures. Next agenda items to review with the work group include tabs updates to correct system glitches that affect the registration of projects, as well as clarification points in the tabs that may be needed. And the procedures work group will continue to work on edits, help sheets, and training videos as they are developed. Thank you. Any questions or comments? I'm open.
Okay, hearing none. Thanks very much, Kathy. Next item is the Rules, Compliance, and Standards Work Group Report, and I will make that report. The members of the committee were me, John Rickard, and Stacy Brewer, and we met with Marcia Godot on December 17th, 2025. We focused on cleaning up some language regarding toilet rooms versus toilet compartments, and we discussed expanding the integration of some IBC requirements directly into tasks for egress requirements. We've been working on the Texas Accessibility Standard changes for some time. We'll continue to do that. That meeting was relatively short because we've had some IT issues with the file itself. So we're going to have another meeting hopefully this month or maybe next, and there'll be a few more meetings. We'll continue to work on that and get back to you when we're ready with something. Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Recommendations, item I on the agenda, recommendations for agenda items for our next board meeting. Do anybody, board members, have any items they would like to have on the agenda for the next meeting, or any questions about things you might want to consider at the next meeting? This is your chance. Would you say it? It's on the agenda. Okay.
Stacy Brewer, John.
Yes.
Stacy Brewer. I have a question about when tabs might be revised. The last time it was revised, there is a major error, and I'm curious when that might be fixed. It's the duplication of the agent information from the owner information, where we're having to put that in. It's causing a lot of confusion out there. You know, just generally speaking, when a person goes out and registers a project, they don't understand that it's a glitch. They think the system is forcing them to put OAD information in that's separate. And then it gets to be very confusing, you know, as that project is received. So I was just curious if that might be something on the horizon that we can get a report on.
Marcia Godot with compliance. That is a help desk ticket, and it kind of depends on what the workload for the programmers is. So I'm hoping to get that help desk ticket submitted this week or next week. And then, like I said, it depends on what the workload is, but we will try and work as much as we can on prioritizing that.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, let's move on to item J on the agenda, discussion of date, time, and location of the next board meeting. Angelica?
I will go and pull the board members for our next meeting. I do know that some of our work groups want to meet beforehand. So let's maybe give you a few months for those work groups to meet so we can come back with their findings. And just for future agenda items, obviously we'll have work group reports and possible work group assignments. Now that we have some new members, we can appoint those members to those work groups.
So we'll do that by email afterwards, find out what people are
Yes,
interested
the plan is to email
in.
the board members our current list, and you can review where you're at. And for new members, let me know where you want to be, and then I'll get with presiding officer Rickard, and we can go from there on appointments.
Okay, so board members, please be thinking about which work groups you might be interested in. We have 3, is that correct?
I believe so. Bear with me, I apologize. Marcia, do you know offhand? If not, I'm gonna look real fast.
I think there are 3. There's a procedures one, a technical one, and I think an enforcement one.
Yes, you're correct.
Right.
Rules, procedures, and enforcement, yes.
Okay, anything else? Last chance.
You can also email me too if you think of something outside the meeting. So
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll declare this meeting adjourned at 10:44 a.m. Thank you very much for your attendance, and for the new board members, welcome. I hope this wasn't too boring for you, and we look forward to meeting soon.